Hey, today I'm going to do a video on a section of a book I read recently. I'm reading the book, I'm not finished. The Marseille Tarot Revealed. I think this is a newer edition or a later edition. I think it's the same content though, by Ben-Dov. This is the guy who, he's the kind of the guru of the Marseille deck. It's a wonderful book, very readable. I'm going through this book, and he was a tarot reader for many, many years. Studied under Alejandro Jacodowski or something. The only problem with this book, it's got beautiful color pictures in it and everything. It's shiny. It's really kind of hard. It's got a lot of glare on it when I put a light on it. See, there's a glare. I don't like that. But anyways, the information in this book is fantastic. So if you're interested in the Marseille, or you don't even have to be interested in the Marseille, it'll help you with any kind of reading. So this is a great book, and I'm gonna just talk about one section of the book that I read that I wanted to share, and mostly for my own, the more I repeat, take notes and repeat the notes and go over the notes, the more I learn. So that's one reason why I'm doing this video. I read the section that I'm going to talk about. I've taken notes on the section I'm going to talk about, and now I'm going to do it in a video. I'm not going to do a reading. I'm just going to show you just what he talks about as far as reading the major arcana. Now, I bought this deck from Amazon. Yeah, of course, that's what I do. I buy decks from Amazon. And it's I think it's a US Games, no, Lo Scarabeo. And it's just the major arcana. I cut it down, and so it looks like this. Very cool cards. There's no names on them, but there's numbers on them. At some point, we all have to grow and learn the numbers rather than just the names. And this is going up and down for some reason. My little piano bench here. So we're going to use this deck. He talks a lot about using an open. He calls it an open reading with the major arcana, with the Marseille deck. Of course, there's major arcanas in every deck, and so you don't need the major arcana of the Marseille. You can use the major arcanas in any kind of deck. But he does talk a lot about the images, and if you have a deck, a major arcana deck that is doesn't have a lot of, doesn't go into detail, that could be a problem with reading maybe a deck, because he does talk about looking at details in the cards, and that's what we're going to go over. So certainly a Marseille deck would be perfect, because that's what he references, the Marseille deck. And then so that would be good for these purposes. But you could actually do it with any kind of deck. You certainly could do it with a Rider-Waite-Smith as well. So it's something to try with your Rider-Waite-Smith after if you're so inclined to do so. So anyways, it's a 3-card reading with the major arcana. And what I've been doing, because I'm new at this, is I pull 3 cards. I've been pulling 3 cards ever since I started. And I pull a card, I pull 3 cards, and they're turned over. They're turned, so the back side is up. And then I turn a card and I look at it, and I get a nice idea of what that card is, and then I go from that card to that card to that card. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but he's a proponent of, instead of going particular to general, go general to particular. So you get the full picture first, and then you work to the particulars of the reading. What we're going to do in this case, though, we're just going to I'm going to show you what he's talking about as far as doing this. So he would just turn the cards over. You have a question, of course, but I'm not going to do a reading. I'm just going to turn the cards over to show you illustrate what he's talking about, to the best of my knowledge. Okay, so before you do anything, you want to evaluate the spread. And it's good to do with 3 cards, especially if you're using just the major arcana. He says, major arcana 3 cards. You can do that for all your readings. There's no need to do anything more. So what you're looking at is a lot of different things. What this is going to encourage you to do is, rather than come up with a decision or conclusion or anything near the conclusion or decision, is to just look, stay loose, and then just like look at the figures and look at the cards and how they relate to one another. Now here, what I see is one of the first things he suggests is, where are the people looking? So she's looking over here. I can see her eyes seem to be down here. He's looking over here at this angel. The angel is looking straight at me, and these people, well, this person's looking at the angel, this person's looking at this person, and I don't know what this person's doing, just having lunch or something, I don't know. So you're looking at where people are, what they're gazing, how they're gazing. And then you also look at their body posture. Are they leaning in? Are they standing back? Now here, this gentleman seems to be looking pretty much at this angel. This is the Judgment card, looking here, moving forward. So this, what's the Fool card? So it's looking in this direction and seeing the angel, maybe looking for advice from the angel, I don't know. Meanwhile, this person, the star, this is the star, right? Yeah, the star, is that? Yeah, the star. The star is looking over here at these people. She's not moving in their direction. She's staying kind of still. And that's something you want to keep an eye on. It's like, who's looking at who, what their postures are. Are they moving towards someone? Are they looking away from someone? I mean, the person in control here to me seems like this guy, because he's looking straight at me, where the others are involved in the card, in this scenario. And so you also look at body language. These are supplicants. I mean, they seem to be, they're naked, they're vulnerable, they're praying. This person seems like she's praying to this person. This person seems to be praying to that person. There's 3 nudes. That's something that you may want to think about. 1 nude here, 3 nudes there, how that may work into the reading. So you're really looking at the people and seeing their body language, seeing who they're looking toward, what if they're moving towards one or the other. Now here we have an interesting thing. We have 3 naked people. We have a naked butt over here with a cat or a dog or a wolf or something kind of biting his butt. That might be significant. I guess it is significant. So that's one thing you look at. Another thing you look at are the flow lines in the pictures. Now it's interesting here. I've never thought of looking at it, but there's this background of mountains that sort of goes up, comes down. It's following in a descending order to down here. So it's going up, and then it's going down. The water is only here, though, so the intuitive nature is only here. The others there's not the intuition. But the earth is up high and goes down and lower, so it's in a descending order, the earth. What does that mean? I'm not sure what that means, but it's something to think about. In other words, you're looking at this earth going down. And I think also when he talks about earth, water, the elements, earth, water, air, fire, you would look for those elements in here. I don't see any fire, but I do see water in 1. So you can read your elements here. I see water, I see air, stars, there's all air around here, and here's a lot more air up here. So you can look at the continuation of cards. And you also look where things, like if this was to be turned like this, you'd have it down here and up here. You'd have this going up, but then you'd have this crashing down. So you'd have this disjointedness to the earth. Okay. Look at, that's, in other words, we looked at the horizon lines and the body of land. The horizon lines went down and the body of land went down. And that's something you could also read. How many figures are in the card? We have 4 figures here. We have 1 figure here, 1 figure there. We have an animal in here. We don't have any animals in there. We have a tree here. We have growth in the background here. We have growth here. There's no growth there. We have the star energy, the pointiness of the star replicated here. The pointiness of there replicated here. Not over here. So these are the kind of things that you look at when you're reading the 3 cards. Right now, just generally, I see this as being the most different because it doesn't have the star, the pokey, the sharp edges. It's the lowest on the horizon. It has the only one with the animal in it. I see that as maybe the most. It's the only one looking at It's looking at the angel. And these have the nudes, and this one doesn't have the nude. It has a little nudity, but not as much. So that could be something that you could think, well, that's significant. It's all in the interpretation. The other thing he talks about is the numbers of the cards. And here we have 0, 20, 17. So there's no progression. There's 0, 20. That's, there's no 0, 3, 5, or and 7, 2, and 1. So it's jumbled up, the continuity of the number. So there's not much there. We were talking about the also the element aspects to the cards. These also could be seen as pentacles to me, maybe pentacle energy. Now, as far as the wand, the fire, we have a wand here, we have a wand here, and we don't have a wand, but we have a musical instrument that looks kind of like a wand, a long and skinny thing. Now, this is in the air, so this could be the air with something long and skinny. That could be maybe a sword. And these could be all swords, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure. There's more than 10 there, though, so that's a lot of sword energy. It could be. You could read it as sword energy. You could read this as wand energy. Let's see, what else? I guess, you could look at colors. He didn't go much into the colors. Oh, I just saw another animal here. There's a bird there. So as you look into these cards, you look at not just the particular to general, but you're looking at the whole and then honing it down. And what you're looking at is how these cards interact with one another and then you tell a story through that. So at first you're just looking generally. So all I see in my mind is I see this is the strength, not the strength card, but I see this is the one that's the most, at this point, to me anyways, the one that's the most different. Now, does that make it the message comes with him? I don't know. I'd have to think about this some more. But this is just a way to look at a layout just using the major arcana with the Marseille deck. So you're looking at you're not looking at what the cards mean. You're looking at the actual pictures and drawing conclusions from the pictures. I think once you he was a veteran of reading cards. I mean, he did it for a very long time, wrote books about it, and was quite a student of the tarot. I think at some point you become very aware of the cards and what you probably know these cards so well that when they come up in a spread, you can just pull things out right away. And but this will hone your skills and your interpretation skills. I just noticed is an interesting thing here. There's just so much to notice because these cards are so vivid. The coloration is like all primary colors, pretty much. Is this cross here? Well, it's a cross or whatever. It's Red Cross, maybe? I don't know. The Red Cross, Switzerland? I don't know. So I just noticed that being really strong in this visually. And that's the other thing. When you look at cards, you kind of want to, I think, try to approach things, interestingly enough, in both each way without having any knowledge, and then at the same time having developed a tremendous amount of intuitive knowledge. So I can see where this would be a great exercise to hone your skills. Start looking at the images and how they relate to one another. The illustrations, the image, not just, yeah, the images, the people, the stances, the glances, and all that to hone your skills in reading. So that's, again, that's from the Marseille Tarot deck. A wonderful book. The other thing he talked about, and I shouldn't do a video about it because it's there's not much to say. Well, I guess there's a lot to say about it, but he also talks a lot about signs, and that reading the cards is a lot about signs and paying attention to signs. And it seems to me like he feels, or he indicates, or he implies that looking at signs, or being aware of signs during a reading is, it helps you with your towards your intuitive reading. In other words, it could be very small things. Let's say you have a candle and it flickers at a certain time when you're doing a reading. Well, maybe that flicker of the candle means you should focus on whatever you were saying. Maybe that's a sign that you should go deeper into whatever you were talking about. So anything that happens, he says in his book that no matter what happens during reading, any odd thing that happens during a reading, a card falls out, a card is upside down, there's a certain, weird noise, a train going down the tracks, a sun hitting the cards a certain way. That's all a sign. Those are all signs. Signs for your intuition to pay attention. And then you pay attention, and then, that will generate maybe some new insight. So that's something to keep in mind as well when you're reading, is to be aware of signs. It could be, it could be anything that's happening, anything that's sensory that's happening, anything that you can see, touch, feel, hear, all that sort of stuff. And that could also help you with your readings. I think the more you're in tune with your surroundings, and yet be in tune and yet be removed. It's sort of an interesting thing, I think, you have to develop when you do readings. You have to be very attuned and at the same time be open to what may come up from your intuition or your observation or whatever. Okay, I hope to do some readings for myself doing this technique, and then when I do a reading, I'll when I feel comfortable doing a reading using this technique of going from general to particular, I'll post it. Right now, I haven't. I just keep doing the particular to general, and it's worked out well for me. But he is the expert, Mr. Ben-Dov. Ben-Dov is the expert. So, got to pay attention to experts. That would be Mr. Ben-Dov. That would not be me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.